What up, world? Welcome to the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. This episode, more or less, not one of the regular episodes in the rotation. This episode will be about the Giants and Cowboys reaction. I was supposed to have this actually posted to you like wee hours last night, but got caught up, family things, you know how that go. Nonetheless, guys, like, share, and subscribe. You can check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on Substack. And wherever podcasts are available, check the show out. Yeah, I definitely got a lot of intel, a lot of things from watching that game last night. I mean, if you're a Giants fan today, you're beyond frustrated, which understandably so because that game could have been had. It was classic NFC East style game. Tough, physical game, gritty defense, offense. It's one thing for the Giants to score 15 points. We know Daniel Jones is limited. I'll touch on that in a second. We also know that the Giants don't have a running game. Obviously, Saquon Barkley's left. But with Malik Neighbors there, he has helped tremendously as far as getting the ball down the field. I have to give the Giants credit, even though I hate them as a franchise. I have to give them credit. They drafted well, and they've actually spending money in free agency, getting guys like Jermaine Illuminor, Andrew Thomas developing, getting guys like that on the offensive line has helped. It's helped really with Daniel Jones's progression. He definitely looks calmer, looks a bit more poised, but let's be fucking real. They need a quarterback. The Giants need a quarterback badly. I mean, this guy fucking sucks. I mean, first half of the game, y'all. I'm gonna just hop into this. This is just notes that I took from the game. You're watching how game starts out. Cowboys offense 3-and-out. Giants are aggressive on defense, testing the Cowboys receivers, getting physical with CD Lamb early. Doing the best that they can for the time being. CD scores. Okay, then they get the ball back. You know, it just seemed like every time the Giants were moving the ball in the first half and getting close, they couldn't execute and had to settle for a field goal. I mean, it's pretty much the tail of the game. I mean, you're watching the first half and it's like once, you saw Dallas's game plan was real simple. Get CD Lamb the ball early and often. And the Giants just couldn't do shit to really stop it. Okay, cool. But they held them to 21 points. They held them to 21 points. I mean, if you would have went into that game thinking, all right, the Giants going with the Cowboys to 21, you would have been like, well, shit, they got a chance to win it. Daniel Jones is so limited. I mean, you're watching it, and you're seeing the deep throws. He can't even fucking connect. I mean, I counted, and I'm going to make sure I get it right here, y'all. Please give me a second. I got 1, 2, 3. I mean, there's at least 3 big shots in that game. You got Diggs turning around on an underthrow, Slayton trying to slide underneath to make it look sexy because it was a shitty throw. I mean, just bad deep balls. I mean, just no trajectory on it. It's bad. And I mean, and then to really make even more of an indictment, I mean, first half, Cowboys jump off sides on a free play. Daniel Jones completes the throw where Diggs gets the interception. I mean, it was so underthrown. I mean, my grandmother, may she rest in peace, my grandmother could have thrown that ball better. That shit was terrible. That shit was terrible. I don't really understand. I get it that this guy's been in the league for a couple years. He's done some things. He's got some intangibles. He's a decent leader. He's coachable. All that shit. I get it. This guy cannot get the fucking job done. And I'm so thankful that I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, because being an Eagles fan, I get to see the ineptitude of that organization on a day in, day out basis. Where literally you had an opportunity to retain a premier running back. You had an opportunity to get a quarterback in the draft. You didn't pull the trigger. You didn't pull the trigger on either move. And this is why you lose, what was the fucking final score? What was the final score, y'all? Was it 21-15? 20-15? Come on, man. 20-15. I mean, like, it's just, I will say this. Again, shout out to the Giants offensive line. Played a lot better in the past couple weeks. Definitely seen some progression there. Running game, Singletary, I'm going to say this, and I said this in the offseason when this move happened. Singletary going to the Giants to replace Saquon is going to be the equivalent of, like, y'all remember when D-Hop got traded for David Johnson? Yeah, it's like that type move. It's like that type move. It ain't going to do shit. It ain't moving the needle for you. You just got somebody who's not going to be, and at least that was a trade. You actually paid for this guy. He's got fumbling issues. He's running the ball with no damn gloves. What is he going to do when it gets cold? I mean, it's bad. It's bad, man. And then, like, you're going further. You got Micah Parsons going in and out of the game. You're moving the ball. I mean, the Giants completely outplayed the Dallas Cowboys last night. What did not make a difference, because what did it come down to? You get in the red zone, you don't execute. Cowboys had opportunity in the red zone, they execute. They had one, think about this. They had one trip into the red zone, they scored. All the other times they scored were long distance, like, shot plays with a CD or a field goal or, the red zone touchdown. Outside of that, that was one red zone play. The Giants were in the red zone 2 times. Daniel Jones can't do it. You couldn't get a fucking, between 5 yards to 3 yards, they couldn't get it done. They couldn't get it done. I mean, the penalties were horrendous. I mean, it's just like the Cowboys just looked like they were trying to lose the game. I don't know how they all worked out, but for 11 penalties for 89 yards, it's bad. I mean, by halftime, teams are combined 12 for 95, and it's just bad football. Bad football. Another thing I definitely wanted to touch on, Tyler Guyton. Tyler Guyton was drafted, and, we got to keep in mind he's a rookie tackle. We got to keep in mind that he's still learning the position, how to play that, at a high level in the NFL. He's been getting bodied these past 2 weeks. And I know, you're like, well, hey, you just said he's a rookie. No. I mean, like, Kayvon Thibodeau was working his ass last night. I mean, to the point where, like, he couldn't looked like he was stuck in a turnstile in the subway in New York City. It was bad. It was bad. I mean, like, then the week prior against Baltimore, he's getting worked. And I'm like, this is a high pick. This is a first-round pick. He does not look like a first-round pick. And you give or take that with Lyman. You understand, like, all right, they're going to have some games. He's had 2 games where it's like, you're going to play against better defenses as the season goes along. Some of those teams are going to really, really come at you off the edge. And you don't really have an answer because you can't even win one-on-ones. It's not looking good. Shout out to the Giants defense. Loved how they played. I mean, overall, getting away from the Wink Martindale philosophy of just blitz, which I think was, outside of it causing Jalen Hurts some hell and a few teams here and there, really was a shitty philosophy because it really didn't really win you too many games. I like how they played. They were very sound. They just don't have guys on the back end. Like, on the one play where CD, on the shot play early in the first half, when CD gets up the field and darts and, scores on kind of like that deep route and cuts it in field for the touchdown. Number 31 there, he takes a bad angle. Safety takes a horrible angle, and then it's like, yeah, well, they just don't have the guys defensively on the back end to really stop teams from really stretching it downfield against them. So that's They're really predicated on their front seven and front eight really getting pressure and generating a rush, which is okay because you got Dexter Lawrence, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, you got Nestor Roches there who got injured last night. Got to see the update within the next couple of days on what's going on with him. I didn't see anything updated on him today. That's why I'm not reporting on it at this moment. But nonetheless, that's a lot to put on them, especially on the back end when you're playing potent offenses that can run down the field and really get yards in bunches. So definitely something to keep an eye on. But like I said, shout out to the O-line and for the Giants, and shout out to the defense as a whole. Micah Parsons went out of the game injured. Malik Neighbors also went out of the game injured. Neighbors tweeted out after the game that he was okay. He feels fine. Micah Parsons, it was just ruled today that he has a high ankle sprain. They had Digsley for a minute, which was scary, and then he couldn't find out he had cramps. They had other guys go down. It was just a mess. It was a mess. There was a lot of guys kind of going down. Shitty turf. But, the NFL thinks it looks cute, so it'll stay there in the Meadowlands. But nonetheless, a lot of guys going down. Some of it physical play, some of it concussion, some of it just shitty turf. But I don't know when the NFL is going to get it through their head that turf shit is not really great for the human body. It's not really great for these athletes, these $1 million entities that you're putting on the field, putting in these uniforms, running these routes, bumping and colliding into each other at high rates of speed. The way they pivot, plant, stance, and everything, you would think that should be firm enough to where they shouldn't tear their fucking ligaments. But here we are. It was funny because I think, going into the second half of that game, I think the thing that was most disturbing if you're a Cowboys fan, because if you're a Cowboys fan, you're happy that you got the victory. Nobody's going to sit here and give a rat's ass towards the end of the season that you barely beat the Giants. It's going to be, did you beat the Giants or not? Because that's what ultimately determines if you make the playoffs or not anyway, or even have a chance to win the division. That being said, for all the shit that we hear about the Eagles and I believe me, I'm one of those people that believe my Eagles, a lot of teams, are flawed. There's no such thing as a perfect team this year. There are teams that are undefeated that haven't got caught yet. There are teams that are lost that are going to catch heat later, and they're going to, and there's some teams that are going to fall back, whatever. You know how the process works. It's very cyclical. However, the point of the matter is, if you're Dallas, and at one point in the fourth quarter, when it's being reported that CeeDee Lamb is your leading rusher, you have problems. Zeke is not doing it. Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn. What the fuck? You got Jerry sitting there saying, we couldn't afford Derrick Henry. Why couldn't you afford Derrick Henry? Was it because you didn't have the contracts of your star players done prior to, camp? Being that your receiver got it a week prior to the start of the season and your quarterback the day of game one of the season, maybe that's why you didn't have the money. Hell, you don't even have Micah Parsons signed, who, by the way, again, I reiterate, is injured. And I don't even know, after watching last night's game against that Giants offensive line, does he really command top defensive player of the year money? Top defensive money for a contract? Because I'm being real with you. He didn't look that good. He did not look that good. He's going up against an offensive line that has been getting their ass handed to him for several years now. Minimum two. Didn't look good. Did not look good. Didn't look prepared. Looked out of sorts. Bit of a struggle. It's going to be very interesting to see, and we're going to definitely see how things play out. But nonetheless, that's going to be it for this instant reaction video in this episode. I thank you guys for always watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Take care and enjoy.